let's call the meeting, the March 6th meeting of the Forest Lake Airport Commission to order. Mr. Schmidt, would you please take roll?
Mr. Dahlbeck.
Present.
Mr. Husnick.
Here.
Mr. Munson.
Here.
John Schmidt is here. Mr. Steeler.
Present.
All are present.
Takes care of number one. Number two, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting? Or are there any amendments, additions, or changes to the minutes? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the last meeting as presented.
Motion to approve from Mr. Husnick,
I will second it.
and the second from Mr. Dahlbeck. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is approved.
I'm sorry, there was no, you didn't say who's opposed.
Well, I heard a lot of ayes, so. Next on the agenda is Bolton and Mink, and Silas could not be here this evening, so Mr. Undum has the summary.
Basically what I'll summarize is, item one, the approach procedural survey seems to be, that's pretty much the static from last month. He didn't have any update on that particular project. Where we did have quite a conversation was on the proposed projects that we sent to MnDOT for fiscal year 20 for inclusion in the capital improvement plan. After the last airport commission meeting, we did submit the crack repair and seal coat maintenance project, the east taxi lanes construction project, and the master plan ALP. As we discussed, we sent those down to MnDOT and said, here's what we're looking at for fiscal year 20. Also requested a meeting with them just to answer any questions they may have on that. We did reach out. We never heard back from them, so we never were able to establish a meeting. We did reach out multiple times to MnDOT Aeronautics to get that meeting scheduled, and just were not able to get one held. Silas has contacted MnDOT, or through kind of his course of business, had a communication with MnDOT, and what he was able to learn was that they are currently right now kind of going through all the projects that were submitted. They're all going through an internal scoring process, and they're going to determine which ones are going to be greenlit for fiscal year 20. At this point, we don't know which one or multiple ones are going to be greenlit at this point, so we're still kind of on the wait and see in terms of what comes out of the fiscal year 20 projects that are greenlit for this upcoming year. So we don't have a definitive update as to what project is going to come forward. So it's safe to say they are all in the mix. I do see here that he does say projects highlighted in green have MnDOT funding appropriated. Don't confuse that with the state share in green. I think he may have inadvertently used the color twice on the same form. I was reading through that before the meeting here going, I don't want to give any implication that we have anything green lit at this point. It's going through their internal scoring process.
Still exploring, sure.
They're still scoring them, and they'll come back with, based on what the pot of money they have, what the project lists are throughout the state, and they'll see which ones are we able to get funded. His best guess was that we should have that list hopefully by the end of this month, if not in April. So we should know relatively quickly as to what projects are approved. We just don't have that update at this point. And then he also just included the updated capital improvement plan, which again was discussed at the last meeting, and he just has the updated one in there. So relatively pretty much a kind of a placeholder from last meeting kind of got moved over. No major, updates on that. So at that point, I'd be happy to answer any questions as best as I can. Granted, I'm not Silas, don't contain his wealth of knowledge, but able to maybe at least help with any questions.
Anybody have any questions on that?
I don't. I do have a question though. Where are we on the runway embankment, correcting that stuff out there? I mean, is anything gonna happen with that, or?
If you talking at the end of the?
No, the runway, the ditch in the center, where we're talking about digging it out, putting some drain tile and stuff, and, I mean, anything happening with that, or?
I'd have to defer to Silas on that one, where that is. I don't, that was not discussed as a part of a cost sharing project for 20, so I'd have to see.
Well, it's on our 18, it was on the 18, I think, and, right now in CIP it stands 2018 runway embankment to meet watershed requirements. And isn't that part of that whole ponding issue? Or not?
Yeah, I'd have to defer back to Silas, the exact status of that one. That was not part of the conversation that we had this week.
Well, the biggest issue with that doggone capital improvement program is a wish list, you know, but I do agree that things need to be sometime here figured out. 'Cause it's been kind of a sore spot there, so.
Anything else on Silas's side of things, the engineering side? No? Agenda item number 4, the hangar list. What's the new development with the hangar list?
Same as last month. There are still 11 on the hanger list, no additions and no drops, so the list is the same as it was last month.
11 people that are willing to build a hangar out there, huh?
They've expressed interest at this point, yeah. They've put themselves on the list. We do have 11 that are on the list. I checked in probably 2 o'clock this afternoon, and they came after 2 o'clock. But as of 2, there was 11 on there.
If you
And
look
there's
at line,
projected to be nine lots in that location.
Yep.
Yeah.
if you look at line 64 of last month's minutes, it says, Undam will verify with data privacy to see if he can release the names on the list. And line 65 says, Undam will verify with any individual where they are on the list.
Any individual who had called in, we would verify where they are. I just had not done the data that was my fault. I did not follow
Can I
up on that.
assume that you'll follow up by next month?
I will put a note on my airport commission list.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on the hangar list? No? Hangar E proposed lease, that was sent out to everyone in an email, and I believe it's here on your desk as well. Everybody get a chance to read through it? Any comments? Quite lengthy for the property that it is covering. I was quite surprised at it, but there were some things apparently in the old lease that needed to be updated, and this did the job, so.
Yeah, this was kind of a lengthy discussion at the council level too, on a workshop situation. And I don't know, Dan, would you mind just kind of hitting a couple of high spots there? Or?
Yeah, I can definitely kind of summarize what was talked about during the council workshop. So where this kind of started was we looked at the existing leases that was there, kind of saw some language in there that needed to be updated. So when we looked at this new lease, this was not just drafted out of whole cloth. It was actually based off a lease at South St. Paul Airport. The city attorney also represents South St. Paul, so they use it as the model. So this wasn't, started with nothing and this whole thing was drafted. So we actually kind of took their lease and kind of took some sections out that weren't applicable to the airport here. I guess some of the highlights that we tried to establish with this new lease would be in section 5. Is establishing aeronautical use standards as defined in the Forest Lake Airport guidelines. Right now, the existing lease had them separately defined, so again, any update would have to be updated in multiple places. That's just more of a housekeeping type, update that's in there. So if we update the airport guidelines, it automatically updates the lease that would be serving Hangar E. Section 7 allows the tenants to make improvements to the lease space with landlord approval. The current lease is silent on this, so if an existing tenant owner or listing tenant wants to make a hangar improvement, we don't have any language in there that specifies how that goes forward. Section 7 does allow for a tenant, if they want to make an improvement, there is a pathway now for them to make the improvement. City, obviously, we're not allowing them to do like a big extension out the back and put on like a lean-to or something like that, but we do have some say into what happens in there. It just kind of provides, like I said, that clarity for the process for improvements, and then also who is responsible for the payment of the improvements. At this point, it would be the tenant that would, if they want to do an improvement inside, they're responsible for paying for that improvement. Section 12, there's been some conversation back and forth about extending utilities out to the hangar. If the current tenants want to have utilities extended out there, this again provides a pathway for them. It allows them to do a utility extension out to the hangar at their own expense. So if they want to have utilities brought out, and by that means if we're looking at, I think this focuses primarily on electrical, they'd be able to do an electrical extension out there at their expense if they want to make that extension. So again, something that the current lease was silent on and now establishes a pathway there. And then we just did a quick update on Exhibit A. It aligns the rent schedule, so it's not inclusive in the lease anymore, it's inclusive in the fee schedule. Again, that's just a long-term kind of bookkeeping type thing, where if we do a lease or rent adjustment, we don't have to go back to the lease, make the adjustment there, it's just fee schedule, all of those things kind of automatically update in the fee schedule.
I'm looking where that is. What page is that on?
It should be on. It would be on 24, and the intent was to have it in there, and I may not have it in this exact version, but the intent was to put language in there, or is to have that language where that would be.
Right now, rent is established on a yearly basis. Is that correct?
And it's reflective in the fee schedule.
I'm sorry, what does that mean?
So the city passes an annual fee schedule, or anything a fee that we charge, be it, for a permit, for a license, or for rent of the hangar, is all inclusive in the fee schedule. So moving forward, if we do a monthly rent adjustment, that would be in the fee schedule. So versus having to go back to all these leases and make sure that every one of these is updated, it's a housekeeping thing where it's in the fee schedule.
But it can be any number that the city selects.
Correct, and they would know that because the fee schedule was approved before the lease would expire for the previous year.
Right, but I mean, the city sets whatever number that is, whatever the city chooses, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
But it's usually based on several different criteria. We're trying to be as
Competitive.
competitive as we
Yeah.
can, and then
Yeah.
the consumer price index and all kinds of different
Yeah,
things.
no, we don't wanna-
that get into that.
Yeah.
And this is not changing anything about fee schedules at all.
Okay.
And so there's just some wording.
That was my question, that we still have control over it on a yearly basis.
Correct. In essence, it's a way to get rid of inconsistencies in language. So if we have stuff that, we see this if you look at certain sections of city code in general, there are certain sections of code that would have a fee associated with whatever license based in fee schedule, or within the city code, but then if we do a fee schedule update, now we have an inconsistency. This eliminates those inconsistencies, and we're trying as a matter of course, anytime we're going through an agreement or city code, is to get everything aligned to the fee schedule, so it's a one-stop and everything goes back to that fee schedule.
Dan, you've got item 11, payment of taxes and other charges. Tenant shall pay personal property taxes, assessments. I mean, there is not a personal property or
No.
any kind of tax that they should be paying, right?
No, there's, I think what you're trying to do is just make sure they cover in case something like that ever came up. But you're right, I mean, it's a concern one.
Anything else on the lease?
On Hangar E, I'm still opposed to not leasing out spaces as they come open. I just think that's wrong to do.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do particularly with this lease.
No.
Well, I mean, this lease is pretty much spelling it out. I mean, they
Yeah.
don't want to be in the hangar business,
The only thing I can tell you from the vibes that I got with the council is that this is pretty much what they're going to accept, you know what I mean? And it's really not a burden or something that people are there. It's just kind of clarifying some wordage, basically. It's not gonna change prices or anything like that, so based on that, I'd make a motion to recommend to the city council that we accept that lease as proposed.
I'll second that.
And we have a second to the motion to approve the lease as proposed.
Yes, it's a motion to.
To recommend to the city council
Yep.
for approval of the lease. All in favor, or is there any other comments or discussion on it? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposed. Moves to the city council. Does any commission member have any other item they'd like to add to the agenda this evening?
I'd like to talk about the John Deere tractor.
John Deere tractor, Mr. Schmidt, you have the floor. What is
The John Deere tractor, I think, was bought with aviation funds. It was bought for the airport. And it's being used for a lot of non-airport things. And I don't think, if the airport gets charged for something, a city service, mowing, whatever, that's fine. We pay for those out of our airport budget. But I think the tractor's getting used for a lot of non-airport things, and we're not getting credited
No,
for
you're
that.
absolutely right. If
And
that's the case, I don't know how the tractor and that came about and.
Well,
I tell you what, I can add to it a little bit, if
Go
you don't
ahead.
mind.
Yeah, go
And
ahead.
this
I
came
yield the
right
floor.
This came right from Linda.
Okay.
In 1999, John Deere 6410 tractor with mower and plow, which is actually the blower, 1999, the state paid $44,681 and the city $29,932. Okay, so then, after that, the tractor mower and plow, at least the tractor portion was traded in. And that was 2013. The state of Minnesota paid $82,715 and the city paid $37,358. So it was a 60-40 split. And my conversation with MnDOT about that is that technically it's not supposed to be used anywhere besides the airport. That's all there is to it, because that was the city's portion for the airport. You know, everybody's been kind of looking the other way and seeing this happen. So all I want to say about it is that over the years, you know, so from 1999 to 2013, when you had 82 and 44, or what do you got there, that's about, what, $125,000 the city is, or no, excuse me, that the state has contributed toward that equipment.
I'd like to,
That's designated for the airport.
it's supposed to be only for the airport.
Right, so, in conversation with John today, I mean, he wanted to make sure that this was brought up, at least the people know, really what the situation is there. And, so,
I don't want to create more paperwork. I don't want to create a pain for somebody on the city staff.
no, and,
It'd be nice, though, if the Hobbs meter was looked at, in an ideal world, and we established an hourly cost for the tractor, and then we were reimbursed for that hourly cost when it's used off of airport
Right,
property.
just on paper.
Right, right.
In our
and
own,
that would help our budget.
budget-wise.
Right, and that's what help our budget a little bit. I don't know how much it's used during the summer.
Yeah, here's the thing though, I think that's kind of a double-edged sword, because I don't think city charges. for
That,
plowing.
and that was right.
Oh, they do.
They do
Absolutely.
charge it to the airport, yeah, and that was the next thing I was gonna ask.
Yeah, Dan, that's kind of what, I mean, the city's been charging us. There's certainly a charge for mowing and all the other things too, but let's get it settled. I mean, this has had a blind eye to it for a long, long time.
Are they charging by the man hour though, Sam, I think? is what-
I don't know, I'll talk to Dave about that.
Yeah, I don't have that information at my fingertips. I do believe that he does track where hours go, where man hours go. But I
But
don't,
with the plow,
in general, I think for most maintenance activities.
Okay.
I just don't know the level of detail, what's been credited, charged. I mean, I don't have that, available at this point.
I just want the public and the folks out there to know
That's-
exactly the
right.
case. It's simply a case of, being upfront with this thing. And, so,
can you gather some numbers for that? I don't even know how much it costs to plow the runway,
it
per year.
depends on the day.
This year, yeah, this year.
Well,
In
we've got
February,
the-
record snow, we're
Where
gonna
does
get
the broom
hammered.
go, Sam, does that go on the John Deere, or does that go on one of the trucks? or
No, I think it goes on to John Deere. I've seen it on the John Deere. That's the only place I've ever seen the
Is
brooms.
that, and the airport's never paid for that broom, have they?
The broom has not, no. I mean, according to this printout came right directly from MnDOT. So, just,
I mean, I'm hoping I'm not opening a can of worms like you said.
No, I
It's not a
think,
can of worms.
and Dan, when you have our budget item on the airport, we talk about budget things, I don't know if it's possible just to add a line item on this with tractor, so it shows up. We don't have to necessarily have a dollar amount, but so we don't forget that there's a credit associated with that to some degree. If we need to get down to the brass tacks of what that is, we can get to that later, but at least, so it's not forgotten that there's a very expensive piece of equipment that the city is utilizing at the airport's expense.
that's right.
So,
That's
just so it doesn't
exactly-
get forgotten.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, it's all, what I got here is completely public knowledge. And I can
Yeah.
get you guys a copy of it if you want it, just what they sent me, so.
All right, any other commission members have anything else to bring up? No, if not, we'll take anyone from the floor if anybody has anything. No? Okay. Wow.
If Mr. Husnick hired Mr. Dunaway, as he said earlier, to blow away the snow at his own expense, the least we could do, I don't know what you're planning on doing with the
No,
bill.
I don't.
But the least we could do is give him a letter saying, thank you for your donation of this
It's not a
in
problem. The other thing.
services that he could take to his tax man and say, look how good I am, and I
No,
can
no, no,
deduct this.
that isn't happening either.
Well,
It's just-
here's the thing, I think, Sam shouldn't have to pay for it out of his own.
No, I don't care. It's I ordered it and, had him come and it's at my expense and it's not a problem. And
The
I
least
just-
we can do is recognize it verbally, and I
Thank you, Sam.
move that the airport commission thanks Sam Husnick for the snow removal.
I second it.
Thank you.
For nothing.
I would certainly be interested in contributing to it too.
Well.
I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
it was nice of them to be able to come and do it. And I mean,
Right,
these guys,
right, it was.
these guys work for me quite a bit, and so, you know, a lot of times it just takes a simple phone call, and I did ask the city several times, but they've been so busy, you know, and
Yep.
to credit them, you know, the airport is the last priority, period. We gotta get the streets done and the whatever, you know, public, all that stuff, so.
Right.
You know, I'm not criticizing Dave or his crew, or,
Oh.
because they've been doing
They
a
got a
hell
lot
of
to
a
do.
bang up
Super.
Got a
job.
lot of snow.
And I don't know when they sleep, because they've been at this for a month, and so, I just say, you know what, there's no reason just.
Going forward though, don't be afraid, I'll be happy to chip in, I got a
Well,
low wing plane
we'll-
too, and I
we'll-
can't
we'll
get
ta-
out on those trips.
We'll talk about that next time.
But
How's
we'll
that?
talk about it next time.
Now, doesn't the city have a grader with a wing on it that they come in and
That-
cut down the bank? I mean, they stick that wing way out there and,
You know,
Cut it
talk to
down.
Dave about that.
I think they did that before. out there.
Talk to Dave about that, yeah, because I don't know exactly what equipment they have in there anymore, so.
Right.
I know they have a grader, I just don't know if they have the big wing thing or not, I don't know.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
No, I'm sorry, we have
Oh, wait, someone from-
no, I'm sorry, we have a motion and seconded to thank Sam Husnick by the Airport Commission for ordering and paying for snow removal at his own expense.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's just, that's all it takes.
Thank you.
It's a done deal.
Okay.
Yes.
Jeremy Dressel, Lot 21, or Hangar 21. A lot of the conversations about the snow, Mr. Schmidt mentioned before about the runway conditions. And there is a new standard out there for NOTAMs that I've seen, that there's a scale, a 555 or a 333. And I don't know exactly what it is, but there's a meaning for surface condition, snowbanks, kind of whatever. So you talk about the runway condition during those times, there would be a good thing that's becoming a new standard. I did just land this afternoon, and the snowbanks are starting to come in the runway. There was still plenty of room to land. Same with the taxiway then, they're starting to come in a little bit. Snowbanks, you know, I've got a low wing too, so I do have an issue kind of with that. I did have to bring in something to push the snowbanks back. I appreciate Sam for doing that. But just kind of for the record is I need 40 feet wide. You know, my wing, or my plane is 38 and a half, and it'd be nice to have a little bit of room. You know, and I had to come out and kind of the main part is some people are pushing snow out of the hangar alleys and out towards the runway, basically, and are not pushing it far enough, and that was kind of the big issue. And when those snow piles get built up, you can't move those other than with a wheel loader or something larger. So with the standard city plow trucks, they should be able to get it wide enough, and obviously this is kind of a odd year for as much snow as we got, but just kind of a couple thoughts. And the comment on the grader, yes, I know Forest Lake does have a grader with a wing because we bought the old one and we have a wing with it. So if they don't, we have one and we could help out with that. So then the other question is, I was wondering if I could request, you know, I try to come to a few of the airport commission meetings. And I always try to check the agenda. And I was wondering if we could maybe discuss the agenda a little bit more and try to make it a little bit more current, or it kind of seems like the agenda is the same every week. And it seems like there's always some comments that maybe come up or topics that come up. I can't think of an example, or, you know, tonight maybe not the best example, but maybe something to kind of help people see if they want to come or not. Just a suggestion, we could talk about it offline or something. And then third is I kind of tried to watch a little bit, and I know there's a lot of conversations about these CIP projects. Is there a way I can get some more information on this, or try to follow this, or maybe we could bring this to all the hangar owners as something to kind of help with the priority, see what they think is a little bit of input on some of these. I don't know if that's possible, or if it is just a wish list, or if it's kind of to see how some of those projects are coming up as priorities.
I mean, they're on the handout, you have the handout that was on the counter, I imagine they're in there, right? And it's
I
listed
saw the
there.
agenda, I didn't see a packet up there.
I'll be happy to follow up with you. I have a copy of all that from the city airport engineer, and I'll get you up to
Okay.
speed on that.
Okay. thanks.
You know, as far as ideas for the agenda, I think simply if you come up with an idea, I mean, you can email it to any one of us or to John.
Okay.
Who puts the agendas together, and, I mean, we definitely can get them on there. I
If
think.
you email it to me, I'll guarantee you that I will respond. I can also guarantee you that I'll forward it to everybody else.
Okay.
I can't guarantee that it'll get on the agenda, because really the agenda is driven by the chair
It's, well, it's driven too by city staff.
and council,
also.
yeah, staff. But I mean, I will distribute it to everybody, and I can guarantee you I'll respond.
Okay, well, I guess just kind of my thoughts is, you know, if you, other council meetings or whatever you see is, you know, there's an open forum in the beginning that people can talk. You know, I know the issue with the lease tonight, I mean, it doesn't pertain to me, but I don't know if people could have spoke to that or not, or, I know typically on council meetings, there's a public comment or, you know, things get added to it and it's just a little more organized, I guess, and not trying to pick on anybody, but
No,
just kind of,
I know, I don't feel picked on.
so,
A couple of things, the lease agreement really affects a small audience. I mean, there's only, what, 4, 5 guys in there. And that doesn't mean they shouldn't be informed ahead of time. I'll grant you that
Yeah.
point, I'll stipulate to that.
yeah.
We can have comments at the beginning. The council's pretty strict about interplay between the council and the commenter. Here, we're a
Yeah.
lot more informal, you
Yeah.
know, and I really like the
Right.
informality of it. I don't want
Yeah.
to make it any more formal
Okay.
than what it is. I like hearing what you have to say. I just like hearing what you have to say.
Okay,
As far as the capital improvement list and priorities, I mean, that's something we talk about here. I mean, we know that MinDOT's only gonna support
Yeah.
so much, so we talk about it quite a bit as to what priorities are. Now we have a paved runway, obviously sealing and crack sealing is a high priority on it. And the other items on there, expanding, getting more hangars built and more taxiways put in, have all been talked about as, through here. And by all means, if there's items that are on this list further down that you feel should be moved up, let us know.
yeah, I guess that was kind of the point, is like, I don't even know what the
Yeah, it's.
plan is,
if you don't have
and
the
maybe if
list,
Dan gets me that
give it to you
information,
after,
that'll
Dan can give it to
kind of
you.
cover everything that I'm looking for, so.
Yeah,
I'll give you my copy after the meeting.
yeah,
Okay,
okay.
I think that's it,
Yeah,
thanks.
all right, thanks, Jeremy. Anyone else?
Yeah, it'd be nice, you know, one of the things I think would affect everybody here a little bit too is if we could, and government, it takes forever, but the instrument approach procedure would be a big thing, and that's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna take some study in and that kind of thing too, so you almost gotta intermingle that with the other CIP projects because of this 24-month to 36 months of work with the feds and all that, and working with the feds a little bit sometimes can be like watching your hair grow, so. Anyways, other than that, I would make a motion that we adjourn unless there's something
Is there a
else.
second to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor of adjourning? Aye.
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 All, we're adjourned.